Have you ever noticed how some people grow uneasy when you simply walk into the room? You're not doing anything dramatic. You're just being yourself, calm, genuine, authentic. Yet their energy shifts. This isn't coincidence. It's because your light, the natural honesty and kindness you carry, exposes their darkness. Deep down, they know they cannot hide who they really are when you are near. Your light represents truth. You don't have to force it. It's who you are. People who live in lies, manipulation, or control find this terrifying. They thrive in shadows where their behavior can't be questioned. But when you show up with clarity and sincerity, it makes their darkness visible. They secretly fear you, not because of what you do, but because of what you reveal. Narcissists especially feel this fear. Their entire identity depends on the mask they wear, the charming act, the confident exterior, the carefully crafted persona. Around most people, the mask works, but around you, the cracks begin to show. Your presence alone threatens their illusion. They secretly think, if others see me through their eyes, my cover will be blown. Your empathy is like a spotlight. It makes the lies of toxic people harder to sustain. They fear you because your kindness makes their cruelty obvious, your calmness highlights their chaos, and your honesty exposes their deception. It's not that you attack them, it's that you don't need to. Simply existing in your truth reveals everything they try so desperately to hide. This is why narcissists often target empaths first. At the beginning, they may love bomb you, pretending to adore your light. But behind the smiles, they secretly fear that you will eventually see through them. They sense that your ability to notice what others ignore makes you dangerous to their carefully built facade. This fear fuels their attempts to control you. They fear exposure most of all. Narcissists can't bear the idea that people might see the truth behind their act. When you shine brightly, you unintentionally expose inconsistencies in their stories. Others begin to notice too. The narcissist thinks, if I don't discredit them, they'll ruin me. That's why they gossip, spread lies, or try to dim your reputation in secret. Another fear is irrelevance. Your light naturally attracts others because people crave authenticity. Narcissists rely on being the center of attention, the one everyone admires. When you are around, people notice your calm confidence instead of their theatrics. They feel overshadowed, even if you're not trying to compete. The fear of being ignored gnaws at them, leaving them bitter. They also fear losing control over you. Narcissists thrive on manipulation, but light is hard to manipulate. When you respond with clarity, when you refuse to be gaslit, they feel powerless. They think, why doesn't this work on them? Your strength frightens them, because it means their favorite tricks no longer control you. That loss of power is terrifying to them. Comparison is another source of fear. They may try to project superiority, but deep down they compare themselves to you. They see your honesty, your patience, and your integrity. It reminds them of everything they are not. While they pretend not to notice, they secretly think, next to them, I look small. That inner comparison feeds their insecurity and fuels resentment. Your light threatens their mask. The longer they are around you, the harder it is to maintain their false image. People start noticing the contrast, your steadiness versus their instability, your kindness versus their cruelty. Slowly, the cracks in their disguise widen. This is why narcissists sometimes lash out at you or smear your name. It's a defense against being exposed. Narcissists also secretly fear your resilience. They may try to tear you down with criticism, manipulation, or subtle jabs, but each time you rise again, it unsettles them. They expect their tactics to crush your spirit. When you bounce back stronger, they secretly panic. Your resilience proves their control is weaker than they believed. That realization feeds the quiet fear they carry. Another hidden fear is that you inspire others. People are naturally drawn to authenticity. When you stand firm in your truth, others notice, and they begin questioning the narcissist's behavior. This terrifies them. They think, what if everyone starts seeing me the way they do? Your light becomes contagious, spreading awareness. The narcissist fears losing influence because of your example. They also fear your silence. Unlike arguments, which they can twist into drama, silence denies them fuel. When you stop engaging with their games, they lose their power over you. They secretly think, why aren't they reacting? That absence of reaction exposes how dependent they are on attention. Your silence is a mirror showing their emptiness, and they hate what they see. Your light exposes their lies. When you live with honesty, their deception stands out like a shadow in daylight. They may tell stories or exaggerate their achievements, but in contrast to your authenticity, it becomes obvious. They fear that others will notice the gap between their words and their reality. It's why they work so hard to discredit you before others. They also secretly fear that you see through them completely. Narcissists thrive on creating confusion, but deep down, they know you notice patterns others ignore. You see the subtle shifts, the inconsistencies, the hidden motives. This awareness terrifies them, because it means their mask doesn't work on you. And if it doesn't work on you, it could fail with others too. Narcissists fear rejection, but your light makes that fear sharper. They sense that if you ever choose to walk away, it won't be with anger, but with clarity. That kind of rejection cuts deeper because it exposes the truth. They were never as powerful as they imagined. Losing you to your own strength becomes the nightmare they never admit out loud. They also fear your independence. When you no longer rely on them for validation, their role in your life shrinks. They secretly think, what use am I if they don't need me? This fear exposes the emptiness they hide behind arrogance. Your self-sufficiency reminds them that real strength doesn't come from control, but from authenticity, something they can never truly embody. Another fear is that you reflect their shame back to them. They've spent their lives avoiding accountability, burying guilt beneath layers of charm or manipulation. But when they face your light, they feel that shame bubbling up. They fear you because you remind them of what they've tried so hard to bury. Your presence alone brings up truths they don't want to face. They also secretly fear being forgotten. Your light moves forward, building peace and love, while they remain stuck in darkness. They dread the thought that you will leave them behind without regret. To them, irrelevance is worse than hatred. Hatred still means attention. Indifference, however, means their existence no longer matters to you. That possibility shakes them to their core. Finally, they fear that your light proves their darkness can't win. They live as if manipulation will always triumph, but your strength proves otherwise. They see you thriving without cruelty, growing without deceit, and it terrifies them. It means everything they built their identity on is fragile. Your light doesn't just expose them, it invalidates the entire illusion they cling to. Your light is constant, and that consistency scares them. Narcissists depend on chaos to stay in control, but your steady presence leaves them exposed. They can't predict you, they can't throw you off balance. The fact that you don't rise to their bait shows others that you're unshaken. While they appear unstable, this contrast reveals their weakness, and they hate being seen as weak. They secretly fear the way you carry yourself with quiet confidence. You don't need to boast or demand attention, and yet people listen when you speak. Narcissists fear this influence because it undermines their need to dominate. They wonder, why do others trust them more than me? The answer is simple. Light is trustworthy, while darkness breeds suspicion. That truth terrifies them. Your compassion is another source of fear. It highlights their lack of genuine care. When you show kindness, it reminds them of the emptiness within themselves. They secretly fear that others will see the difference and realize the narcissist's love is conditional, transactional, and shallow. Your compassion exposes the hollowness of their affection, and that realization haunts them in silence. They fear that your honesty makes their manipulation stand out. Narcissists twist words and play games, but when your truth is simple and direct, their lies unravel. Others begin to notice the contrast. They think, why does this person always speak with clarity, while the narcissist's stories feel complicated and unclear? That quiet comparison eats at the narcissist's control and fills them with dread. Another fear lies in your forgiveness. At first, it seems harmless, but deep down, forgiveness exposes their cruelty. When you forgive without bitterness, it reveals that they were the true aggressor all along. They fear your forgiveness because it leaves them with no excuse. It proves their actions were intentional harm, while your response came from strength. That truth terrifies them. They fear being powerless around you. Narcissists survive on reaction, anger, tears, or fear. But when your light refuses to give them that reaction, they feel small. They may lash out, but it only highlights their desperation. They secretly fear the day when none of their tactics affect you, because it means their greatest weapon, control, has been taken away forever. Your growth also triggers fear. They see you moving forward, healing, and thriving, while they remain stuck in cycles of denial and chaos. This progress exposes their stagnation. They secretly fear being left behind, because your light shows the path they will never walk. Your success becomes a mirror reflecting their failure, and they despise the image it shows them. They fear that your presence reveals their insecurities. Narcissists build masks to hide fragility, but your light penetrates those walls. They secretly think, what if others notice I'm not as strong as I claim? Your calm self-assurance makes their arrogance look like desperation. The contrast exposes their vulnerability, and instead of admitting it, they fear the world will see the truth. Your boundaries strike fear into them as well. When you say no with firmness, it reminds them they don't own you. They fear boundaries because it denies them control, and your light makes those boundaries clear. They can't manipulate, can't cross lines without consequences. Boundaries expose the limits of their power, and for someone who thrives on control, this is terrifying. They also fear the possibility that others admire your strength. Narcissists crave admiration, but your authenticity attracts it naturally. They can sense when people are inspired by your resilience and kindness. Deep down, they fear becoming invisible in your shadow. That fear drives them to smear your name, but the more they attack, the more obvious their darkness becomes to others. They secretly fear that you cannot be broken. Every attempt to diminish your spirit fails, and this frustrates them deeply. They expect tears, yet you respond with dignity. They expect anger, yet you respond with peace. This resilience is frightening, because it means their tactics no longer work. They begin to realize that their darkness cannot dim a light that refuses to fade. Your presence exposes the truth they desperately want to hide, that they are deeply insecure. Behind the arrogance lies emptiness, and your light forces them to confront it. They fear this because they've spent their entire lives denying it. Your calm confidence makes their false bravado look hollow, and they secretly fear others will finally see the same emptiness you've noticed. They also fear that your love is real. Narcissists pretend to love, but they know it's conditional. When faced with your genuine care, they are reminded of what they cannot feel authentically. This scares them because it exposes their limitation. They may mock your sensitivity, but secretly they fear it because it proves that your emotional depth outshines their shallow facades. Your silence after conflict is terrifying to them. They want fights, because fights keep you engaged. But when you go silent, they see their grip slipping away. Silence exposes their dependence on drama. They secretly think, if they don't fight back, I can't pull them in. This makes your quiet strength far scarier to them than any argument ever could. They also fear the way others gravitate toward you naturally. Narcissists work hard to demand attention, but you attract it effortlessly. People sense safety in your presence. This makes the narcissist fear losing their audience. They secretly wonder, what if people stop admiring me and admire them instead? That thought alone shakes their fragile self-image to the core. Another fear lies in your ability to let go. Narcissists thrive when people cling to them, begging for attention. But when you release them without bitterness, it unsettles them deeply. They fear being forgotten, replaced, or irrelevant. Your ability to move on shows them that they're not as unforgettable as they imagined. That realization feels like a collapse of their entire identity. They secretly fear being exposed for their hypocrisy. Narcissists often preach morality or greatness, but live in contradiction. Your light highlights those inconsistencies. They may claim to be strong, yet you reveal their fragility. They may boast of being kind, yet your genuine kindness exposes the lie. That exposure terrifies them because it strips away the illusion they depend on. Your refusal to dim your light for their comfort frightens them most of all. Many people shrink to avoid conflict, but you continue to shine. This persistence exposes their fear. They realize they can't control your truth, and that knowledge makes them panic. They secretly wish you would tone yourself down, because your unshakable authenticity is something they cannot compete with. They fear being irrelevant to you. Narcissists feed on being the center of someone's world, but your light reminds them that you have your own life, goals, and dreams. The moment you stop centering them, they feel small and disposable. They secretly dread the day you no longer care, because your indifference proves they never truly mattered in the way they believed. Another fear is that you empower others to leave them. When people witness your strength, they realize they don't have to tolerate the narcissist's games either. This terrifies them, because it threatens their control over multiple people. Your courage becomes contagious, and the narcissist secretly panics that your light will spark a chain reaction of freedom among those they manipulate. They also fear that your inner peace makes them look unstable. Narcissists rely on appearances, but your calm nature highlights their volatility. They may try to provoke you into chaos, but when you remain steady, they look out of control. This fear grows because others can see the difference clearly. You remain grounded, while they appear irrational. That exposure unnerves them deeply. Your refusal to play their games scares them. Narcissists design endless traps of manipulation, silent treatments, guilt trips, and blame. But when you don't engage, those tactics collapse. They fear your ability to disengage because it renders them powerless. They secretly think, if they won't play, I can't win. This realization makes them more afraid of you than they'll ever admit. They also fear your intuition. Empaths often sense lies and half-truths without needing proof. This natural ability terrifies narcissists because it bypasses their manipulations. They fear you'll pick up on things before they're ready to admit them. Your intuition becomes a mirror, exposing their intentions even before they act. That level of awareness makes them feel vulnerable and unsafe. Another hidden fear is that your story will reveal theirs. Narcissists work hard to control the narrative, but your truth threatens their version. When you speak your experiences with honesty, it highlights their deception. They fear others will believe you more than them, and because your words carry authenticity, they often do. This is why narcissists attempt to silence your voice. They also fear that you represent everything they cannot be. Your light embodies compassion, integrity, and resilience, all qualities they lack. Every time they see you, it reminds them of their emptiness. They pretend not to care, but secretly they are envious and afraid. They know they can't destroy your qualities, so their only option is to try to dim them. They fear accountability most of all. Your light makes accountability unavoidable. When you stand firm, refusing to be gaslit, their behavior becomes undeniable. They fear that others will expect them to change when they see how you hold boundaries. Accountability is their greatest enemy, and your presence forces it closer than they ever want it to be. They secretly fear that you've already won. Each time you rise above their games, it proves their darkness isn't strong enough to consume you. This frightens them because it shows that manipulation isn't the ultimate power, integrity is. They may fight harder, but deep down, they know the battle is lost. Your light exposes that truth every single time. Another fear is that they cannot erase you. Even if they try to smear your name, people remember your authenticity. They fear your legacy will outshine their lies. Deep down, they know that light leaves a lasting impression, while darkness fades. This reality terrifies them, because it means they cannot truly destroy what you represent, no matter how hard they try. They also fear being exposed by their own reactions to you. When they lash out or attack, it reveals more about them than you. Your calmness in the face of their chaos makes their behavior look worse. They fear that others will see who they really are because of the way they treat you. Their reactions become their undoing, and they know it. In the end, they secretly fear you because your light exposes their darkness. It's not about what you take from them. It's about what you reveal. Your authenticity unmasks their lies. Your strength dismantles their control. Your peace highlights their chaos. And that is why they fear you most. Not because you harm them, but because you remind them of everything they will never be.